We're gathered here today because we are proud of what we've accomplished, but we also acknowledge that it is not enough. We get to work every day with brilliant students who will be the first ones in their families to go to college. Our students are Black, Latinx, children of immigrants, children who experience economic hardships. The odds our students are facing to become college students are daunting. I want you to close your eyes and consider these numbers for a minute. Really, close your eyes. There are currently 1,390 seniors in Durham Public Schools who qualify for free and or reduced lunch. Based on our graduation rates for economically disadvantaged students, 1,084 of those students will graduate. When we think about national statistics of low-income students, 564 will show up in a class this fall. And of those, 62 will graduate from college. You may open your eyes. These are the odds our students face. The data is damning, but the data doesn't tell us the stories, the experiences of the young people who beat the odds. The data doesn't tell us the actual conditions that are surrounding their experiences to navigate a system that was not built for them to win. The data doesn't capture the extraordinary effort it requires to beat the odds. The data doesn't tell us that 33% of students move 2 to 3 times a year because of our rising housing costs. The data doesn't tell us that one of our students, Rachel, had a substitute teacher for all of 7th grade in math, a class that will eventually become a marker of college readiness. The data doesn't tell us that many of our students in college work multiple jobs in order to pay for college and the hidden tuitions that are not included in tuition, including books. Books! Books. The data doesn't tell us that Yadequay was at the top of her class and felt wholly unprepared for her classes at UNC. This shouldn't be. What do we do in the light of such overwhelming odds? What do we do when we can simultaneously see bright spots of our students and recognize that the conditions around them are not changing? What do we do when the data says this is not enough? What do we do? Here at Student we believe that we change our approach. As a community, we should dream of a day without organizations like Student Union. We should imagine a day where all children in our community get an education that prepares them to not only graduate from high school, but go to college equipped to graduate. We should imagine a day when it doesn't take extraordinary effort for Black and brown students to be able to graduate from college. We should imagine a day where we do not gather in rooms such as these to celebrate the students who have beat the odds. We should imagine something else. Good. Here at Student we are boldly daring and dreaming of that day. So our vision is evolving, and we're expanding our work to support that dream. We're moving away from seeing ourselves just as a college access program, not because college isn't necessary, but because it is an insufficient marker of equity in our community. We are a community organization that uses the power of education to build a more just and more equitable Durham. Our vision is that all children in Durham succeed. Our mission is to empower and equip first-generation college students in Durham Public Schools, their parents and educators, to become the leaders that will transform this city. If you've been part of our journey for the past 13 years, you know that we have focused on providing holistic wraparound services for our students. We believe that this remains necessary today, but is not sufficient to change outcomes for our entire community. Now, some of you like numbers and some of you like metaphors, so this is the metaphor part. If you have been to a REI training recently, you've heard the metaphor of the fish and the pond. Another way to say that we're growing is to say we started thinking about the fish and we're moving to the pond. So our new approach is three-pronged. Number one, we will provide intergenerational whole families programming. We know that children live in communities and with families, and students cannot be whole if their families are not well taken care of. Number two, we will share what we do here and the lessons that we learned with the whole community. We want to be where our students are in schools. And number three, with our students and their parents as our leaders, we will advocate for policy change. We know that programs alone do not change outcomes over time. Policies do. These changes are rooted in our firm belief that Durham can and must be a place where all children thrive. We can be a city where every child starts kindergarten ready for school, where every school has all of the resources they need in order to support their students, where parents have jobs that allow them to provide for their children and have time to be present with their kids, where Black and brown students see teachers that look like them in their classrooms, when school curricula empower students to imagine a world that is radically different than the one we live in, and that we can live in a state where all children, regardless of documentation, have access to instant tools. So here at CNU, we're imagining what justice must and can look like in our city if we're going to speak about prosperity for all. We're imagining what we believe is possible. We're evolving our mission because we're putting our stakes in the ground, and we're spending what we do to meet our dream. Now, if you're anything like me, you're like, yep, Alex, that sounds great. That's a lot of work. How are you going to do that by yourself? And I'm here to tell you, you're brilliant. We can't. By ourselves. This dream is much bigger than any one of us or any organization, and will require new and reimagined partnerships to make it come to fruition. And so we're starting our reimagined work with the Durham Public Schools, one of our long-term partners. We believe that the work that we do here at CNU is important, but again, insufficient by itself. So it is my honor and pleasure to welcome Durham Public School Superintendent Dr. Mubinga to tell us about our exciting news.
Thank you, Mrs. Ibayun. It's a great pleasure to be here, just to be a part of this wonderful organization that we call Student U. I was really thrilled when I was named superintendent of Durham Public Schools, and I was a superintendent prior to that at Franklin County Schools. I received a lot of emails from different folks telling me, say, hey, you cannot do this work alone. We are involved in BPS. This is what we can do as far as giving students books and mentoring and things of that nature. I'm very grateful being in a community where everybody is involved. It takes a community to raise our children. As Alex said, I mean, just being able to educate our students to be able to fulfill their full potential is going to take all of us. For that reason, when I look at the mission of Student U and looking at the mission of DPS, they are all interconnected. For that reason, let me just give you quick statistics about DPS. We have 33,000 students. Out of those 33,000 students, 43% are African Americans, 33% Latinx, 19% white, then the remaining are. So I'm really proud of what the district has been able to accomplish. 43% of our students are African American students, and we have 39% of our teachers are African Americans as well. That's unheard across the state. That's amazing because that's across North Carolina, we have about 55% of our students out of 1.5 million, 55% are minority. And then there are only 20% of teachers that are teachers of color across the state. So we're doing really well when it comes to recruiting African American teachers. I told you earlier, we have 33% of our students are Latinx. And if you can imagine, we only have 3% of our staff or teachers that are Latinx. So we have a long way to do. As you know, research is telling us students do really well when they have somebody that's look like them, so they can relate. That's going to prevent some of the culture shocks and things of that nature. Everybody can educate any student, but this is what research is saying, not me. So for that reason, we're able to partner with Students U. We have students at DPS that go to early college. Those students are graduating with 70 credit hours, even some of them more than 70 credit hours. And we have students at Durham Tech, middle college, they graduated with associate degree. Last year we had 26, this year we're projecting somewhere around 50 students will be graduating with associate degree. So, as we're talking with our HRC, we have a problem sometimes to recruit teachers. Why not tap into those resources? Those students graduated with associate degree already, why can't we recruit some of them and be able to find funding for them for the next 2 years so they can come back and teach? Alright, where are we going to find the remaining funding for the junior and senior year? So, we started having conversation with Students U. They were brilliant. They came with the whole plan and all that kind of stuff, working with my HR office. So that's why we are really excited to present to you tonight that we are going to partner with Students U, DPS and Students U, to have the Durham Teachers Fellows Program. Students that go to early college and middle college, they're brilliant. Not only that, two groups, but we have also some of the students that go to our traditional high school. They prefer not to go to those specialty schools. They may also be interested to go to this program. So we're going to need funding to make it possible. Another caveat for this particular program, as those students are going to matriculate to this specific program, they're going to have internship starting probably from 9th grade. During summer, they'll be coming to Students U, working with students. If they're going to go through this program for 4 years, they're going to have about 4 years experience under their belts, knowing how to work with students, relating with students. By the time they go to college, they finish, they'll be ready. They'll be really experts. So we are really thrilled, excited about this partnership. It's going to take all of us here in the room to make sure that we have funding to make it possible. That's why I'm here to announce this, and we're going to need your support to make it happen. Thank you.
So earlier, as I was calling who was in the room, I talked about Student U alumni teachers. If you're an alumni of our program and you have taught in Durham Public Schools or in other schools, may I ask you to please stand? This exciting new partnership with Durham Public Schools, we also want to say that we have been educating teachers to become teachers in classrooms for the past 13 years. This is a partnership that makes sense for us because it leverages what we've been doing for 550 students and enable us quite realistically to go from working with 550 students to impacting 8,000 students over the next 5 years. What an incredible partnership. We are so excited to be doing this work with you. We can give it a So I'm very excited about this partnership, but there will be so many new programs that we pilot over the next 5 years. And like Dr. Mulinga said, we cannot do this work without you. Over the next 5 years, our goal is to move from serving 550 students to, again, impacting more than 8,000 students through the 50 students cohort that we'll be working with through the fellowship program. In addition to this, our programs will expand to make sure that parents have opportunities to grow their own education as a result of our program. We're also going to be very intentional about making sure that parents have access to programming that enables and equips them to be advocates for their children in schools. And last but not least, we talked about programs supporting students or policies changing outcomes. We're going to be working with parents and students to ensure that they are leading that work. And we'll be starting this spring with a redistricting program. So we're very excited about that. All of these services are provided to our students and to the community at no cost. However, you and I know that everything has a cost. Over the next 5 years, as we continue to grow, we estimate that the cost of growing our program will be around $3.3 million a year total, and we will need your support. I believe that together, we can indeed imagine a different future for our young people and make it happen. I invite you to join us as we do this work with our students and with their families as we grow on this journey. I leave you with our alum, Adequate Everett, who will greet you from the screen, who truly embodies the essence of who we have been becoming and what we believe is possible. Thank you.